Welcome into the Eagle Communications Sports Update right here on HutchPost.com. High school, college, pro, we keep you in the know. As always, alongside me, Glen Grunwald, I am Daren Dunn. Today we'll dive into the struggling Royals. We'll talk a little bit about your Big 12 football conference and the media poll coming out for the season. We'll take a look back at my interview with Hutchinson Monarchs General Manager Marc Blackim. But first, we talk about those Monarchs. A couple of weeks ago, we saw them in some must-win opportunities, must-win games, and they just couldn't get it done. Glen, they schedule 3 more games. They do a little bit better in some of those, but now we find them in that Mid-Kansas Collegiate Tournament at 18-21 on the season with another opportunity for 2 must-win games Tuesday night against the Kansas Cannons.
Yeah, their backs are against the wall, and Mark talked about it a little bit last week. It's still, if you heard what Coach McCune said about his team, is that they'll still think they're a better team than they have had in the past. So you streak a couple wins together, then you're in the NBC tournament. That's the goal right now. So it's coming down to the wire. It's win or go home.
Last weekend, we left them in that appearance for the postseason in Newton in that Mid-Kansas Collegiate Tournament. They take on the Hayesville Aviators. They get a good victory, 8-0. And then they take on the powerhouse, the Valley Center Diamond Dogs, Walter Johnson League champions, 30-4 on the season. And what do, Glen? They reel off a couple of victories. And you heard, as well as I did last week, the confidence Marc Blackim had going into those games, and they pull it off.
Yeah, he's a confident owner. There's no doubt about that, and they think they can get it done. The bats got to come alive, and the pitching let them down a little bit in the last couple games, so they got to pick that up a little bit. But 2 games are very winnable, and again, their backs are against the wall. They got to get it done.
Against Valley Center, they get that victory 11-8. They then take on the Kansas Cannons, and they slip. They lose to the Cannons 14-9, so they have to take on Valley Center again. They beat them 4-2. It's that double elimination tournament that they're in here. And now they have got another opportunity to take on the Kansas Cannons. They win both of these Tuesday night. They'll be on to the NBC.
Yeah, they'll be on to NBC, and that is the goal all season long, is to get into that NBC tournament that'll be played late August in Wichita.
You know, against the Kansas Cannons, Glen, through the season, about 3-2 are the Hutchinson Monarchs, so a very valuable opportunity to win. They just have to go forth and do. One of the losses on the season, they end up losing by 1 to the Kansas Cannons. They lose another one by 6. But other than that, they've been pretty victorious.
Yeah, Daren, they can't look back. They cannot look back and see what has happened. They got to take care of what the business is in front of them and just put together 2 good games, and you're there.
Win both of those games, and they are on to the NBC. Of course, the Valley Center Diamond Dogs, even though they lose 2 times to the Hutchinson Monarchs, they are already in the NBC as the Walter Johnson champions of the league. Hey, when we come back, we go yard and then some. We go beyond the diamond with Hutchinson Monarchs General Manager and owner Marc Blackim as we take a look back at my interview with him on HutchPost.com and your Eagle Communications Sports Update. Welcome back to the Eagle Communications Sports Update right here on HutchPost.com. High school, college, pro, we keep you in the know. Of course, I am Daren Dunn. Joining me now is head coach and general manager of your Hutchinson Monarchs, Marc Blackim. Marc, thanks for being on.
Thank you. Good to be here.
We want to kind of take you back to your first days of baseball. What first got you into baseball in general?
Oh, I mean, as a youth, I played all the way through. So baseball had always been a part of what I've done and has been one of my loves and passions. But, you know, getting involved with the Monarchs, it was basically an opportunity to give back. There were some individuals that helped my kids further their career. So in turn, when the opportunity arose that I could help out with the Park City Rangers team, I got involved with that to help young men further their career, which led to the opportunity for my wife and I to take on the Monarchs and build that program to once again help young men further their career and help the city of Hutchinson with, the baseball programs in Hutch, but also give the community something to do in the summer.
It's a great passion to have. You've brought back a lot to the community, paying it forward, so to speak. To you, what are the most beneficial things that you see from some of these players that either stay with the Monarchs for a time or that you can help move on to the next level?
That's twofold there. I mean, there's nothing better than when a player comes back and says, hey, I want to come back next year. That's a great compliment. An even better compliment is when a player from another team comes and says, I want to be a Monarch the next season. That's a great compliment as well. But I would say probably the greatest compliment to our organization and to what we do is when one of our young men does get drafted, does make it to the next level, and now he's a professional baseball player. That's not to say we had everything to do with that, but I want to believe that we did have a small part in helping him get to that next level.
When guys come in, is your message, hey, we're going to get you to the next level, or is your message, hey, we're going to go out, have fun, and play baseball?
Both. Yeah, we're going to have fun. We're going to play baseball. We're going to give you the avenue and the tools to help you get to the next level, but it's still up to them to put in the effort and to work hard to get them there. But we will definitely supply everything we can to help them get to the next level, or as a freshman, sophomore in college, help them get better so that their next season is better building for the next level.
Being someone who grew up in baseball and now coaching baseball and basically seeing all aspects of it, being the general manager, what are the biggest differences you see, and what are some of the things you've had to learn between the two types of positions?
Oh, I think probably the most difficult part is dealing with the different personalities. Because, we have 30 young men that come in, they're all different. There's some that you gotta kind of put your arm around and coax them along, and there's some you've kind of get in their face a little bit to get them motivated to work hard and get them. They've all got talent. That's why they're here. Their coaches have sent them here. They've all got the ability to be great players. It's kind of which avenue do you take to get them motivated to get them going?
It seems like there always has to be some sort of individual ego to do what you have to do. How do you play that into the bigger picture of the team ego to make sure the Monarchs are successful?
Well, we always try and make sure that the young men are first. Yeah, we need the organization to succeed, which of course then makes my wife and I feel better about what we're doing. But it's all about these young men. What can we do to help them improve on the field, but just as importantly off the field? These men need to leave Hutchinson in the summer a better man than they were when they got here. That's just as important to us than seeing them succeed on the field.
Helping young men grow not only in baseball but in life, it's Hutchinson Monarchs General Manager and Head Coach Marc Blackim. Keep it here on HutchPost.com's Eagle Communications Sports Update. Welcome back into the Eagle Communications Sports Update on HutchPost.com. High school, college, pro, we keep you in the know. Glen Grunwald, I am Daren Dunn. We now look at the 2014 U.S. Amateur Public Links Championship, where we find Sterling native and soon-to-be OU senior Michael Gellerman. He makes it all the way to semi-final action, where he ends up dropping it 1-up. He was actually ahead, Glen, by 3 holes. He loses 4 out of the last 6 to Doug Gim, who's going to be a freshman at Texas in the fall.
Yeah, and also Byron Meth was the winner of that over Gim the next day. But he had a good showing. The year before, not as strong. This last year, he was stellar as a junior, as well as we saw him in the NCAA tournament that was played here at Prairie Dunes, as OU played well. And he showed some moxie, did a good job, and got to the semifinals. Hey, not much more you can ask.
Look to see more great things from the Sterling native Michael Gellerman when it comes to the golf game. We look now to the Big 12 Conference meeting and getting together. The Jayhawks were in a press conference the other day. Ben Heaney, whom we talked about last week, saying, Glenn, the Jayhawks have a chip on their shoulder. They really want to win the Big 12 this season.
Captain Heaney, they're kind of going with the superhero push. He's also bearded, got a full beard. You need to extend yours a little bit there, Daren. Get a little bit bigger.
A little more.
Ben's got his senior year. Back in 4 years ago when he was at Hutch High, coming out of Hutch High, he was the 58th ranked linebacker according to Rivals. Now he could be possibly the best in the Big 12. So he's on the first team preseason, and second, been all Big 12, excuse me. Go back in time a little bit. Twice he was on the All-American team for by way of KU by the Big 12, and he's got a great opportunity to do something this year. Charlie Weiss, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Charlie to get her done, and again, they're picked last in the Big 12.
Of course, Ben Heaney on the Chuck Bednarik watch list this season, but like we talked about last week, only if the Jayhawks can win more than 3 games. And as you mentioned, picked last, not a great place to start. However, you only have up to go from there.
Yeah, Ben's also been picked on a lot of other lists as well. Another former teammate of him is from Hutch High, Gino Grissom, also is the 8th ranked defensive end, and according to NFL Scout, on the upcoming possible draft. So Gino and Ben have a lot of time between the two of them. Of course, OU picked number 1 in the Big 12.
Ben Heaney to look to improve on his 87 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 2 sacks from last season. OU, you mentioned, picked number 1. They get 47 first-place votes. Behind them, Baylor with 9 first-place votes. And then a familiar face with Kansas State. They didn't receive any first-place votes, but in at number 3 in the media preseason poll for the Big 12. You look at Charlie Weiss. He's struggling to find a quarterback, Glenn. He said over the past few days, I think that changing the mentality on offense, going to a more spread out, wide open offense with an athletic quarterback hides a lot of sins. So he wants to find somebody, obviously the ultimate goal for all KU fans, who is the next Reesing? Who will that be? Well, it wasn't Cale Pick, it wasn't Jordan Webb, it wasn't Dane Christ, and it hasn't been anyone else that they've put there. Could it be someone this year? And can they flourish in a non-drop back offense where the quarterback is expected to maybe not throw so much, but run?
I think most KU fans would just like to see him win more games than the year before, maybe get to that 4-win, 5-win season. I think that's not a stretch. I think they could possibly do that, but again, it's going to be interesting to see where they're going to be again this year and see how much pressure comes on Charlie.
Weiss saying that the true drop-back quarterbacks have been exposed, and that's why he's been forced to change things around this season for the Jayhawks. On now to your Kansas City Royals. Wow, struggling after the All-Star break. They dropped 4 in a row last week. Some of those coming at the hands of the Chicago White Sox, but most of them coming against the Boston Red Sox. So it's a tale of the Sox, and it's been hurtful as the Royals dropped to 48-50 now in the season.
Yeah, 1-7 in their last 8 games, and you look at 22 runs in those total of 9 games over that stretch when you throw in also the All-Star break, and they're just not getting the long ball. They're not getting the long ball, Daren, to be able to get back into a ball game after they've struggled in the late innings. So you got to have somebody that's going to come up and be able to tie it up. Last night was a good example, 3-1 loss, and they're sitting there 2-1 in the 7th. Had an opportunity to knock in a run, didn't get it done. Got to have a long ball. They just got to start to hit the ball.
Guthrie gets the loss, falls to 5-9 on the season. Glenn, he's got, 4.56 ERA. A couple of these are close losses, as Alex Gordon last night, though, gets the multi-hit game. He's the only Royal with a multi-hit game, goes 2 for 4. Other than that, 13 Royals left on base. We're seeing a lot of that lately. Escobar leaves a team-high 4. You got 3 other guys in Butler, Valencia, and Infante leaving 2 apiece. But then you look back at all the losses against Boston. You've got the 5-4 loss, the 2-1 loss, which were close, but then the 6-0 loss, and you're looking at leaving multiple people on base, 20 people left on base in that first loss. Second one, they end up leaving 11. The third one, they end up leaving 11 again, but Boston leaves an incredible 29. How can you leave fewer people on base and still lose a baseball game?
Still lose a baseball game. And, you know, what's hoping, I think a lot of people are hoping to go on another 10-game winning streak, and that'll cure all ills. But they got to get it going. They got to get it going pretty doggone quick, or they're going to be chasing. Now they're in 3rd place in the Central. The
Royals were held scoreless by John Lester. He throws 8 scoreless innings. He is now 7-3 all-time versus Kansas City. Now the Royals got 2 more on the road against the Chicago White Sox, who are under 500 on the season at 48-52. Then there'll be that homestand against the Cleveland Indians, who are right now 50-49. Of course, things didn't go so well against the Cleveland Indians over the 4th of July weekend, albeit that game was on the road. These will be at home.
They'll be at home. Home cooking's always good for the Royals to see if they can get her done.
If there's anything locally you'd like us to talk about, make sure you comment below. Until next time, for Glen Grunwald, I am Daren Dunn. We'll see you right here on HutchPost.com and your Eagle Communications Sports Update.